software is eating the world, but it's driving your
It
success right now too. It's driving
Right.
your success. But how do
Right.
you find these people?
So we brought on people into the company, but we also have in here 100 people from Volkswagen, absolutely talented people, which you find in the company. And what we are doing now is finding satellites that are defined areas where these new things will be developed. Like we have a lab in Berlin, called Digital Lab in Berlin, one in Munich, where we have 100 people working completely disconnected from the mothership, and they are our future, to develop new models.
And that's more as a symbolic gesture. It's like driving the change from the outside into the inside, right?
They are driving the change from the outside, right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't believe you can change the entire company, and you should not waste the time of trying to transform everything and everyone.
But in the end, I mean, how can we apply those exponential technologies then in real life, in the workflow?
Well, there are many options. If you take out one exponential technology like artificial intelligence, while we all look into autonomous driving, all of us are being hit by new technology behind us, which we don't see, which is machine learning in business functions. So in the future, for example, controlling functions, and we are experimenting with that, will be done by algorithms that run on computers, right? Sales planning, sales forecasting, all this processes done by human beings will right now supported by artificial intelligence, and maybe one day, maybe 5 to 10 years, according to the curves going up,
Right.
The machine will be smart enough, learning enough to do it on its own.
So if you compare corporation like Volkswagen from Europe with corporations in the US and Asia, how are we doing in that competition here?
Having lived in the US for 6 years, I tend to be a little bit, I apologize, overcritical with ourselves here in Europe, especially in Germany, where we come from a country of Dichter und Denker, thinkers, and we are very much into finding the negatives. And some of the speakers here, as you have noticed, highlighted on that several times, and let's be self-critical. We turned into that a little bit, so we have to find the opportunities. And this is the difference. If you go into Silicon Valley, and we go there very often, just to learn what they are doing, the biggest difference is how people on the street adopt new technologies, experimental, trying it out and playing with it. And this playfulness, sometimes we Germans are arrogant and laugh about the American playfulness. This is what we need more, to try things just out and play with technology. And lose the fear by doing it.
Right, losing the fear, I think that's a good point. You mentioned the incremental thinking, the linear thinking. How can we overcome that? Can you give an example?
Well, if you take a mechanical engineer who's been raised a mechanical engineer, his job is, and he learns in university, the next product, the next class I'm going to develop is going to be better than that one, 10%, 15%, a little bit less weight. It's incremental, right? So you have to put in new kind of thinking and scenarios. For example, sit a guy next to the side who's a software engineer and tell him, don't touch this thing. What can you do with software which improves this piece of glass, right? And maybe he comes up with an app which is measuring the liquid in the glass and reordering if the liquid goes down. This is only something the software engineer can do. So instead of trying to turn people around out of their experience, you should complement it with other people and other experiences.
All right.
And that's what we try to accomplish. It's not easy to say that, but that's, I think, the only way to help people overcome these issues.
Would you say it's fair enough to say that we are mostly driven by logic in big corporations, and we need more to put the digital logic into the hearts and mind, not only the minds but the hearts of the people?
Yeah, I think it's courage. You know, there's a saying from Mark Zuckerberg. He once said that being able to write software, to code, is as close as you can get to superpower. Superpower means with software you can do literally anything because it's virtual, right? It's not there. So again, I think it's the combination of both. That's why software is so important for the car industry. It's giving a complete new experience, user experience and functions around it.
Have we understood software fully yet?
Well, I think so. I don't think we have enough software capabilities in Germany. We only in Europe we only have one or two big software companies compared to all the mammoths in Silicon Valley. But we clearly have understood. We have incredible talent in Europe, in every country. But the question is how to scale it up, right? And this is it all comes together. If you take more risk, you need more of those guys who can do it, and it's a positive circle that we have to fire up.
If I listen to that, I get the impression Volkswagen is in is in a sort of reinvention of its industry. Would that be a fair description?
Well, to be honest, we are reinventing ourselves because, first of all, we have to take this crisis as a chance. We call it New Volkswagen. At the same time, it's a great opportunity because we can now do things we could never do before because we are allowed to do things completely different. Yeah. And the fact that we are talking about software and artificial intelligence, that would never happen 3 years ago in our country.
3 years or
4 years?
4 years. So about the industry then, are you afraid of Tesla, for example?
Elon Musk is an incredible inventor, so lots of kudos to him. And the Tesla Model X, I personally think is a good-looking car, great car, great technology. Is he disrupting the industry? No, he's not.
He's not disrupting.
No, he's putting fire under our butts, all of us in the industry. He's bringing electric into the mainstream. If you look at electric, it's a different propulsion system. We had electric 150 years ago, by the way. In 1910, there was the first Porsche electric car riding in Berlin in 1910 on the streets of Berlin with electric cars. Right. We abandoned it because the batteries were too clumsy. So then we had diesel, then we had fuel, we have hydrogen, and now we have pure electric, which is the best technology, but it's just another propulsion technology. If you ask me what would be his biggest invention, if he could put wings on the car, like the Model Z, that would be a game changer in the industry. Right now, it's pushing he's pushing the envelope from a technological standpoint in a really good way, and I'm actually pulling the entire industry into the same direction. But he's not disrupting the car industry.
Who is
Uber
disrupting?
Uber, because they are changing the ownership model. Why should I own a car if I pay 10 cents to get from here to the airport, right? And the rest, I don't need the car. So this is completely disrupting our business model. We want to sell to you a car for 30, 40, 50,000 euros.
But that's still, you would sell me a car still today, what kind of other alternative would you offer me?
Well, we have first of all have to catch up, and we're doing that. We are coming up with our own sharing and riding models. But this is only catching up. The question is, how do you disrupt the others? Right.
But car sharing, for example, is a commodity, isn't it?
Oh, and if you think about the business model of Uber, they make money, you paying the ride and the taxi driver. So if mobility, and I talked to Dave Roberts about it a few minutes ago, if you suppose in 10 years mobility is like energy for free, business model of Uber is gone, right? We still have our cars. So the question is, can we find different revenue scenarios? You get the ride for free to the airport, you don't pay, but you have to watch ads, or you're going to do your purchase, you're buying online in the car, and we get paid for that. And there might be different models. Okay,
but to get that straight, you might envision a scenario where mobility is going to be free.
Well, if the exponential curve, and I'm still working on it mentally, is really true and continues like this, it has to be for free, more or less for free, at incremental cost, like energy we saw today. Yeah. Coming from $1 now down to 3-4 cents in about 20 years. So 3 cents is literally for free.
So you'd say it's a race for time then? It's a race of time?
And business models.
And business models.
Because someone has to pay the bill.
Yeah. How much time do you have left to establish new business models then?
Well, I can't foresee the future. I'm not a futurist. But I think right now every year is counting.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about autonomous driving. Is it like the big game? Will it be? How big is it?
It's going to be huge because it takes away the driver, and taking away the driver means also automatically ownership. If you don't drive a car anymore, you don't physically own it, right? And why should you own it? Because you don't have an emotional bondage. We always said in the past, the human being putting the hand on the steering wheel is touching the product. And this is a very, psychologists say this is one of the most intriguing moments when a customer, any product, your iPhone, you touch your iPhone, you feel it, if it's perfect. If you take that out, take that away, there's no bondage. From that point on, you don't want to own. It becomes maybe a liability, so you only want to pay for it, and then you're in this, not owning, but in this usage mode, where suddenly things become exchangeable, and you only want to pay a minimum amount of money for the use that moment.
But to give us an idea, how much capacity does Volkswagen put into the development of autonomous driving right now?
Can't talk about money, but substantial.
Not money, but like energy, thinking, radical thoughts.
So I would say in about two years there'll be more than 1,000 people. Software engineers will be working on nothing else but autonomous technology and the things around. And if you look from the size, it's substantial, because right now we have about 30,000 engineers in the company that develop physical cars. And you need maybe 1,000 people who are just focusing on software development for the car. So this is substantial. And if you look in the industry, everyone, all our competitors and the other companies are in the same situation.
Right.
Here heavily investing in people and in a scarce resource. There are not 1,000 people waiting on the street to work for another company. They want to go and work for Google, right? So this is the challenge, how to get these young engineers excited, software engineers, to work for an automotive company.
Right, right. So are you a driving force, or are you being driven concerning that?
I would say, to be honest, it's a little bit of both. So there are areas where we're driving in AI. I would say we are, in our industry, we are probably leading in artificial intelligence, in machine learning. The lab in Munich we have, we're doubling that next year. And in other areas, we are being driven, and this comes down to the business model, which is not in our DNA, right? We are auto guys selling cars, and not sharing a car, someone, and maybe only getting a fragment of $1 for a kilometer.
Right, right. So to describe your moment state of emotion, how would you describe that, looking into the future?
After that conference, enthusiastic, absolutely. I'm not fearful that things might go wrong. There are too many good people out there working on things. So it's an optimistic future.
Right, and it depends, we heard that just before, it depends on the people. The best people are not working for you. There was a slogan, but they're going to be.
I would correct that. Some of them do. Not enough, but some of them. Yeah. And every company finds people where they think they're probably the best in the industry. So,
right. Thanks a lot for your time.
You're welcome.
Thanks, it was fascinating. Thanks a lot to you.